Welcome to Skin Soul Rituals. My name is Amber, and today we're talking about 7 things that I wish I had known before starting my candle business. Some tips and tricks that will help you along the way that I had no idea about when I first started. A little bit of background: I started my business in July. I launched my website on July the 1st. So right in the middle of summer, maybe not the best time to launch a candle business, but it's worked out okay. And it is now October. We are at the end of October, going into what is busy season for candle making, candle makers. But here are the 7 things that may help you in your candle making journey or your candle making business. Number 1 is candles is a lot of math. I didn't really realize that going in, but you're calculating wax, you're calculating fragrance oil, currently working on lotion candles, so that's a whole other bear in and of itself. What has helped me the most is to make a spreadsheet and plug in those numbers so that when I am ready to make my batch of candles, whether I want to make 10 or I want to make 30 or 40, I can go plug in those numbers. I can put, however much fragrance oil, whether I want 6% or 8%, I can put that in and then it calculates. So that's been the best time saver for me. I would highly recommend doing that. And number 2, testing takes a lot of time, a lot more time than you ever thought it would. I think a lot of people get into candle making and you get your jar, you get your wick, you get your fragrance oil, and you think, easy, right? You're just gonna melt the wax, mix the fragrance oil in there, and pour it in. It's gonna set up so nice and you're gonna be an expert. So there's so many different wicks. I had no idea that there were so many different wicks and that the wick would be different for each fragrance oil that you're using. So you have to test the jar, the wick, and the fragrance oil all separately. It's not like you can test one and it's perfect and that's what you're going to use. Now, once you get your wick size down for that particular jar, it does make it a little bit easier because you can look at that group of wicks and test amongst those. But it is definitely challenging. It requires a lot of patience. I started testing in April, May, and started selling in July. And I was testing constantly. So it just depends on how much time you have to put into testing as to when you will be ready. And sometimes you don't feel like you're ever ready. You're like, oh, maybe I should test it one more time. But at some point you have to be like, okay, this is good, and move on to the selling phase if you're selling them or giving them away. My best advice is to start with one jar, several different wick sizes, your fragrance oil, maybe 2 to 3 max. Because in the beginning, I bought a bunch of fragrance oils because I was so excited and it just became overwhelming and cumbersome because I didn't realize that I had to test a wick for each different fragrance. Start with one and then grow from there. Get that down, perfect it, and then you can go move on from there. And I would highly recommend, if you know that you're going to go into business for yourself, making candles, I would really research that candle jar or that vessel. And some people might not tell you to do that, but I would research what I wanted to use at first and test that jar, because I started out testing a jar that I wasn't planning on selling or using, and that really doesn't help you. That doesn't help me. If I'm not going to use that jar and sell it, then it doesn't help me to test that jar, that particular jar, to completion, because that's not the jar I'm going to be using. So find the jar that you're going to be comfortable with and stick with, and then find those wicks and test that jar that you want to use to either give as gifts or sell. That's going to save you a lot of time rather than just starting with random jars. And I would highly recommend getting from a reputable seller because you want to be safe when you're giving those as gifts, using them in your home, or selling. Number 3, marketing. Let's talk about marketing. Marketing is probably going to be where you spend the most time. You're going to spend more time, especially if you're running a business, you're going to spend more time marketing than you are pouring candles and testing candles. Guaranteed. Because visibility is everything. If people do not know you exist, if people do not have their eyes on your business, you're not going to sell candles. And it's great to sell to your friends and family at first. However, they can only buy so many candles. So eventually you're going to have to get out of your circle and move out to a bigger audience. And in order to do that, you're going to have to market and you're going to have to get visible. So you need to be on top of your marketing game. If you have the funds to hire somebody to do it, by all means do it. I'm just not at that point yet, so I have to do everything myself. So I'm doing all the marketing, all the business things, quick QuickBooks, everything. Yeah, I highly recommend just start getting good at marketing and just teach yourself lessons every day. I've tried to start learning a little bit every day in order to help myself become a better marketer, because I know at the end of the day, if I'm not marketing myself and my business, I'm not going to make any sales. That's my number one piece of advice. Become the best marketer that you know, or hire the best marketer that you know. Number 4, building your website is not a one and done. I thought when I started this business that I could just build a website and then forget about it, just got to build the website and then the people are going to come and it's going to be great. That's not the case. Your website is a living, breathing thing. So you're constantly going to need to update it for SEO, for search engine optimization. That's how people find your website. And when people find your website, it has to be marketable and it has to be a place that they want to hang out and stay, and it has to convert them to buyers, because just getting people to your website isn't enough. You have to convert them to buyers once they get there and make them want to purchase your products. So back to marketing. It all boils down to marketing and building that website. And so if you can hire somebody to build it, that's great if you want to start there, but you're going to want to learn the website yourself, because if you change your pricing, your product page, you're going to have to hire somebody to do that every single time unless you know how to do it yourself and you can go in there and do it. So I highly recommend just diving in and learning the website that you're working with, and so you can teach yourself so you're not having to spend all that money out. And then maybe as you build and you get to be a bigger business, then you can give that responsibility to somebody else. But starting out, you're probably like myself and you're doing all the things and wearing all the hats. So I would just recommend just doing it, just diving in and doing it. And it's going to take time and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to want to pull your hair out, but it's okay. You just keep going and you keep showing up for yourself. Number 5, start writing your cost down, what you're spending for your jars, your wicks, your fragrances. Know all of that information. Be very well organized, because when you go to price your candles to sell, you want to get 3 to 4 times what you're charging. Is it because you're wanting to rip people off? No, absolutely not. You're wanting to be able to run your business and sustain your business. And you won't be able to do that if you're just charging double of what you're making for that candle, especially starting out. Now, getting down the road and going to wholesale is a different story. But when you're starting out, you need to be able to charge the prices, because you don't realize what all goes into candle making and the packaging that you have to buy, the shipping, your time, your effort. It's so much. Plus the marketing you're spending on, the website that you have to build. It's a lot. So you need to price your candles accordingly, and the best way to do that is to know what you're spending in the first place. Don't let that get away from you, and start tracking and keeping a spreadsheet early on. I didn't have QuickBooks when I first started, and it was just becoming too much. So eventually I did go ahead and bite the bullet, and now I'm doing QuickBooks, and that's hard too for me, because it's all a learning curve. All of this is a learning curve. So it's all going to be hard. So you just take small chunks, bite-sized chunks, and you work on it as you can every day. Whether, you're doing this full-time or you're working as a side hustle, you've just got to put the time in to get to where you want to be. And if you're doing that, you will be successful. Number 6, let's talk about essential oils versus fragrance oils. And this is like such an angry topic in some of the candle groups. People get so upset and mad at one another for this. And I don't really understand. I'm not that way. I'm not that type of person. I'm just like, use whatever you want. It's your candle business. But I started out wanting to use essential oils because you think, okay, well, I want to make an all-natural candle. Essential oils aren't necessarily all-natural, and there can be some dangerous essential oils if you don't know what you're working with. Now, that you can use some in candles. You're not going to get a very good hot throw, so that's really never going to happen with essential oils. You're going to have to do an essential oils infused in fragrance. And what I chose to do when I realized the essential oil struggle, and it's a lot more testing, I thought, with essential oils for myself, and then just the safety and the concerns around the essential oils. They're not really made to burn. But I'm not saying don't use them. Do your own research and figure out what works best for your business. because it's your business. But they just didn't in the end work as well for me as I wanted them to. I did my research and I'm using the clean scents. They're as clean as they can be. So they're essential oils infused in the fragrance oils. I'm happy with that because it doesn't have the phthalates. It doesn't have the, hormone toxicity. So it's still the non-toxic candles, but you're getting a good cold throw. You're getting a good hot throw. So, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something safe, but something that was going to scent the room up, not overwhelmingly and powerful, but, something that smells nice. That's why a lot of people choose to buy candles. But you can do your own homework and research on whether essential oils or fragrance oils are right for you. That's just my personal opinion. Just wanted to share with you. But if you're in some of the candle groups and you'll see people like, I wouldn't even dare ask about essential oils. I just go to the search bar and type, and you'll see all of the comments because they get so mad at one another, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of humorous. It's like, really? Is this something we want to get mad about, or can we just have a conversation about it? But moving on. And number 7, burnout is going to happen if you don't have those systems in place like I was talking about. Make sure you're getting candle insurance if you're selling. That's another good one. I could go on and on. If you want a part 2 of this video, let me know in the comments and I will put that together because there's so many other things just besides these that are important for starting a candle business. Make sure you have a designated place in your house that you're making candles, that you're storing all of your things. That'll make it easy for you than trying to spread everything out. Eventually, I've got some of my stuff in the kitchen now. I had to get one of those big shelves, and I'm thinking about getting another big shelf because I just don't have. You run out of room quick, especially when you've got all your supplies and then you've got your finished products as well that you're selling. It's a lot of storage space, so keep that in mind. You may want to get you a couple of shelves when you're starting out to just kind of keep everything together. And it's a little bit more challenging for me because I am more than a candle business. I also do holistic skincare and herbal teas. So I bit off a lot when I started Skin Soul Rituals. My whole business concept is self-care for women to take care of themselves, and there are different products that allow us to do that and that make us feel good. That was my whole business concept and brand. So I'm doing a little bit more than candles these days, but I love it. I wouldn't trade it. I left my job about 2 months ago to do this full time, and it's amazing, and I'm so excited to continue this journey. So follow along, make sure you hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you want to see another video like this one, part 2. And if you want to see my candles and what I'm making, go check me out at skinsoulrituals.com. I'll put all the links in the notes below. Thank you so much for tuning in, for being here. I promise I'm going to try to do more videos more often. It's just, if you're running a business, it's crazy. You're doing all the things yourself. So adding YouTube videos into that sometimes gets pushed to the side just because I'm trying to run my business and be visible and do the marketing and all of the things. So thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.